Oh, what's up, y'all? I'm gonna have to figure out how to edit that now. Gonna have to figure out how to edit that, bud. Your little interjections.
What's up, y'all?
Hell yeah, brother. What is up, bud?
Not much.
Little doggy daycare boy.
I think that Jack Russells are a little bit more than some people who made these decisions knew they were getting signed up for. They're have very high maintenance requirements in terms of like exercise, like an hour a day of like strenuous exercise. Or they'll flip their lid and destroy everything, including your skin. And there are several open sores on my neck from where that dog tried to rip my throat open today. So,
I mean, dogs in general, they like to exercise. It's good for them, especially young dogs. I mean, that's a little babies.
yeah, but before they're vaccinated, it makes it fucking difficult because like you can't really take them to the park if they're gonna deal with dog shit when you don't have a yard. I've never dealt with this because I always had a yard.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Mostly when I had dogs, we lived in the country or in towns that were so small that it was basically the country. So, yeah, I guess I don't really know.
Even the last time I had a puppy in America, I mean, our apartment was big enough that he could just like run the length of the apartment, and he would just run himself tired all the time. He would just run back and forth. He would get himself excited. This one, he needs stimulation. He needs constantly like yeah, stimulation. He needs challenges.
No. Yeah, I mean, it gets easier as they get older, but yeah, if you're gonna buy one of these thoroughbred puppies, which I would advise against, I think everyone should adopt anyway. But
Yeah.
if you're gonna do that, you gotta make sure you have the time to do it.
Yep.
To get them war slick.
Well, one of the first stories before I forget was this is something that was mentioned on Rogan recently. And I just kind of blew it off, but I was reminded of it, which is toxoplasmosis, which he mentioned briefly. I don't know if you caught that. It's basically a parasite.
Yeah, from cats.
From cats. What I did not realize is how prevalent. The way he described it, he's like, oh, people get in motorcycle accidents. Fucking like 13% of the U.S. population has antibodies for it. And that, unlike most parasites, which can be removed if you take an antiparasitic medication like ivermectin.
Ivermectin, the horse medicine.
This one is a lot like HIV in that it finds a place and it will burrow in your body, including in your nerve tissue or your brain, and will cause cysts that literally never leave. So that thing can be you can never get rid of it. As of yet, there are no medications that can actually eliminate it from the body, and it passes from mother to child, which means eventually, unless we do something, it's going to infect the entire human species.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope I don't have it. Yeah, a lot of people have. I don't know if there's a difference in the language, but like facial herpes, as opposed to
one
general
of the herpes viruses.
Yeah, it's still not great to have, probably, but
well, this one can cause serious. I mean, especially as people's immune systems get worse. There's a study out of Taiwan. Because a lot of Taiwanese people eat raw shellfish and raise cats, which are two of the largest risk factors. That it causes premature dementia in a lot of people, because as you get older, your immune system gets weaker, and as it does, the parasite is more able to kind of replicate and form new cysts before your immune system can deal with it. And those cysts are often in nerve tissue or brain tissue, and then cause, dementia, decay.
Yeah,
it's frightening.
I know that a lot of them are in brain tissue, but yeah, I don't. Thankfully, I've never had indoor cats. I've definitely had outdoor cats though, so I don't know. It's not super reassuring, but yeah.
Outdoor cats are the dangerous one, actually.
Yeah, but you usually get it from their feces, so
it's usually from cats that travel indoors or outdoors.
Right, exactly.
I'm comparing that to like Olivia's indoor cats.
Completely indoor, yeah.
Which are, never leave the house.
I've never had any cats that like come indoors.
My grandma has a lot, and my sister is now considering adopting one of my grandma's dogs, which are basically like all feral cats that she took inside. And my sister, the fact that it can spread to children, like if you're pregnant, my sister is of birthing age. She's like, my sister's in her 20s. Like, I don't want her to like get a parasite that she's gonna have to deal with the rest of her entire life.
She's trying to say.
Jesus Christ.
I'm gonna bleep that, but that's not that bad. But anyway,
It's weird.
it is weird, but that's the point. It's funny for that reason. But maybe I'll leave it in.
Just a PSA. I just want people to be aware of this, and anyone who's thinking of raising cats or thinking of raising animals, like, there's a lot of things that you don't think about until you're actually in it and realize that this is like serious. And yeah, it can cause, even in relatively healthy people, if your immune system gets compromised, you get in a stressful period, that can kill you. It can cause serious dementia. It can cause all kinds of serious issues, and it's not rare. It's quite common.
But as Joe Rogan says, if you're a fighter, it's good for you. Helps your brain.
Yeah, the people who are trying to get that, honestly, like, they deserve everything that they get. It infects. So the United States is low on that scale. I think more than a third of the world population is infected with it actually right now. So Taiwan and the United States in the low tens. That's a good number, and that is frighteningly high. That so many people have an incurable parasite that's just burrowing in our brain tissues.
Oh, hell yeah, brother. How close we are from the edge all the time is amazing to me. I was watching some things about, like, anthrax last night and about some, like, other...
Good band.
Hell yeah.
Name 3 songs.
I don't know any because I don't listen to them. I'm just trying... It's called Yes and, Ari. It's called comedy, okay? I just, like... I was watching also a thing about Shinrikyo, who did the attacks in Tokyo, for anyone that doesn't know. Like, if you haven't seen about it, like, it's a fascinating, just a cult that basically, they were trying to buy nuclear weapons. They were trying to do, like, a crazy, but they were worth like $1 billion. But anyway,
$1 billion.
Yeah, they were worth over $1 billion.
For what?
They had a lot of the high society in Japan was like parts of, not, like, obviously not like a majority or anything, but like they had a number of people in like high society that were in their cult. They did weird stuff too, man. I mean, it's a cult, obviously, but like
that Tom Cruise movie. I forget the name.
Are you talking about the Church of Scientology?
The movie we watched with like all those elites in their cult.
Yeah. Eyes Wide Shut. Yeah, it's a great movie, honestly. My brain is very everywhere right now, but you saying that made me think of
Austin Powers.
The big thing. The big thing right now is Squid Game.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw people being like, "Oh, this is crazy. It's like the Rothschilds." I was like, "No, it's kind of derivative of." I mean,
people are still talking about it, then they should not.
Well, they're not really. I mean,
good.
Some people post memes about it, but anyway, they're saying like the masks in that are like reminiscent of Rothschilds, but it's even just derivative of Eyes Wide Shut now, which was the original movie that like used the Rothschild masks. But anyway,
what are the Rothschild masks?
They did like these parties basically that is part of what Eyes Wide Shut is probably based off of, where they had like these parties where everyone wear like these weird masks, just like in Eyes Wide Shut.
So this strange, fairly inbred, rich Jewish family in the UK had strange parties with costumes.
Yeah.
Is that proven?
Yeah. There's pictures of it.
Oh.
Film photos.
So
cool
it's not
film
secret.
photos. No. It's not like a secret. I mean,
it's just a Halloween party.
It's a secret, just like any rich people stuff is. It's like not everyone really knows about it, but yeah,
like,
it's not like
the Stewart insider trading kind of
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, fuck the Rothschilds, but not any more than any other like rich family that tries to bend the world to their will. You know?
I don't know.
I don't have any like additional hate for them other than any more than like the DuPont family or something like that. So, because I'm not an anti-Semite.
Good.
What else you got, bud?
You want me to go all mine, or you want to go back and forth?
You should go all out because I don't have much. I don't have much news. I think the only thing that I saw was that I think today is Sun Yat-sen's birthday.
Yeah, I saw Abby posted that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not. He's kind of a one of those figures that kind of can be held up by both sides. He's kind of a platitude machine.
The people on both sides, folks.
There's Sun Yat-sens on both sides, everybody. They're saying things that communists like. They're saying things that capitalists like. Who knows?
I was at National Student Yat-sen University today, and check out this picture that I took.
This is good. This is good podcast material.
For those of you who are listening at home, I don't have a picture at all. I'm just wasting time and trying to distract you guys.
Oh.
See what that is?
Yeah, it's the KMT star, huh?
It's basically secret. Like there's almost no way to actually see that unless you look at it from a very strange angle and a very strange part of the
from
campus.
the bottom, it's not like open. It's just sealed on the top.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's like I don't think this is the KMT. I think the KMT emblem has a circle around it. I think this is the ROC emblem.
Well, it is a circle, so I don't know.
No, I mean it's got like another concentric circle.
Well, but what I'm saying is that the pavilion itself is a concentric circle, so I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
It's the ROC emblem. It's not the. So here, I'll just show you.
Basically the same thing, right?
So here's the ROC emblem.
Yeah.
But it's a party state originally, and here's the KMT emblem.
That's what I'm saying, though, is I don't know. It might be the same thing. Just, even if it is like the quote-unquote ROC flag.
These are the two side by side.
Yeah. It's basically the same thing. Speaking of...
No.
No, it's not. It's not. Speaking of, like, old, outdated political figures, did you hear what Biden said today?
No.
His name was Satchel Paige. I've adopted the attitude of the great Negro at the time pitcher in the Negro Leagues, went on to become a great pitcher in the pros, into the Major League Baseball after Jackie Robinson. His name was Satchel Paige.
Well, okay, I think that league at the time, that was actually...
It was called the Negro League. I think...
Whoa.
What?
So he's not allowed to use the term "but you are" to refer to that specific league.
Well, no. What I'm saying. Well, I'm actually gonna I think I'm gonna defend him a little bit. I think he has a lot of racist tendencies. Ari loves defending racists.
I love defending Joe Biden.
Ari is a blue MAGA boy. I think this is a little bit of a defense and like kind of an accusation at the same time. I think his brain is leaking out of his ears, like we've been saying for the past 2 years, basically. But I think he was preparing to say the Negro Leagues, which is what it was called historically, and I mean that's an ugly term now, but it is what people said. I mean, Martin Luther King used that term constantly because that's what people said back then. It was, the nomenclature at the time, and you can make of that what you will, and there can be discussions about that, and that might be important for us to do. But I think that's what he was going to say, and he jumped ahead of himself, and now it sounds like he was saying something racist or using a term that is now uncouth. But when he was a spry 67-year-old was probably the term that he used most of the time.
The whole thing, I think it's much ado about nothing.
I think it's important that the president's brain is melting out of his ears. I think that's something
You sound just like Joe Rogan right now. I'm so sick of hearing about our beautiful president.
The thing that's different about me is that I called Trump out on it too, and Joe Rogan didn't because he's a fucking Republican. I'm just kidding, but no, it's of note that probably the most powerful nation in the whole world has a president that is steadily declining. We'll say.
I think we kind of knew that before the election.
Well, we did, but I'm saying a lot of people I don't think did. But yeah, definitely. We talked about it. We've been talking about it for a long time. That's why we're the real news, folks, unlike MSNBC and CNN, the lamestream media.
Your podcast without me on it, where you're talking about Kamala Harris, like talking shit about Joe Biden in the debates.
Yeah, she did. But the point of that is that
like, absolutely, you'll be a great president, and I'll help you.
That she flip-flopped totally on it, which is hilarious. But that's the point, is that it's totally disingenuous. These people, which is in and of itself racist. I'm deeply apologetic about saying these people. Jordan, what do you mean by these people? That's the joke that you needed to land there. But
no, I don't need to say that. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Democratic elites.
It's
coastal liberal
because we understand each other. Oh, that's why L.A. is filled with homeless people. That's a Joe Rogan line.
Actually, Delaware is not coastal. I don't think. Is it? I know nothing about
I think
Delaware's
it is
geography.
coast. I mean, it's right next to the coast. Yeah, it is coastal. It's also the home of like
Are you sure?
credit card companies just absolutely
I feel like Delaware's
owning everything.
inland. Where is Delaware is coastal. I thought Delaware was where New Hampshire is, if I'm being honest. My world geography is stellar, but the northeast, like New England, my geography is absolute trash.
Everyone ignores it. I'm a geography teacher, folks, so I know my geography pretty well.
You could, like, we can do a contest any day of the week. You would just give me a map of the world, and we'll like fill it in together and see who gets more. But give me a United States map. I can fill in just about everything except New England.
I beat him on this one.
What?
Nothing.
Say what you mean what you say.
I did. I said what I meant, and I meant what I said.
Well, then say it again so I can hear you.
I said that Ari's a really great guy, and I love him so much. But yeah, all I could think of was
Delaware. Hi. I'm in Delaware.
name that movie, Ari.
I don't have no idea.
Wayne's World.
I'm glad I don't know that reference.
It's a good movie. You were talking about Austin Powers earlier, okay? That is a later, arguably less intelligent Michael Myers film.
I'm glad I also don't know that reference.
You do know that reference because you were the one that referenced it, which is what I said. But you're not paying attention because you're on your phone.
I'm looking at where Delaware is, bud. Dover, Delaware.
Oh, it's so fun. I love Delaware. Yeah, Delaware is, I mean, that's the joke, right?
I didn't know
it's
Delaware
pretty
was south of
unimportant state.
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, born and raised. Now you got me on TV stuff, which...
South of New Jersey. I always assumed it was north. Because I totally pictured Delaware being in a different place.
But Jersey is, I mean, right south of New York.
Yeah, but I was thinking that Delaware was somewhere around where New Hampshire is.
Now you know, bud. Now when we do the 50 state comparison test, you'll beat me.
Let's try it. Not today.
No, we should. If we're gonna do it, we should stream it so we have video. Because otherwise, I'm just gonna lie. I'm just gonna say that I won.
Let's just do one together.
Let's not do it now, though.
Okay, fine.
But-
Spit more stories, bud.
Yeah.
Spit more stories. Let's see what you got.
Spit. No, I don't have much. That's why I told you to go, man. I don't have almost anything.
That's all I got.
Some of us were sharing all these. Some of us were sharing. Some of us were sharing all of our beautiful content on the social medias and working all day today.
I worked all day today.
Sure you did. Just kidding. You definitely worked more than I did today.
I told you how much I had to do today. It was a nightmare.
I spent my day working, but I also did read a lot. Or not a lot. I did read some.
I didn't read anything.
That's why I'm smarter than Ari, folks.
Unfortunately. I like reading. And I did read a little bit. But just of the Bible.
Which book did you read?
Deuteronomy. No, Exodus? Exodus.
He doesn't even know, folks. He didn't really read the
Pay
Bible.
attention to the book.
He's-
I'm not like...
He's pandering to the Christian community.
I was on... Do this. I think it's still the second book. They're building
Exodus
the
is the
tabernacle.
second book. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus.
I know them in Hebrew, not in English. That's the problem.
I know we've done this before on the podcast.
Yeah, I was reading this. I think I was reading Exodus. They're just building the tabernacle right now, wherever that is.
Somewhere on the planet Earth. That's what I would get. That's my guess. Unless it was like the tabernacle, like Dr. Manhattan built on Mars, but
Did you know
I
that?
don't remember.
Tabernacle, the word tabernacle is like a curse word in Quebec.
Tabernacle.
I think it's tabernacle.
What does it mean though? That's the
I
question.
think it means tabernacle. They just use it as a curse word.
It's almost weird because they seem, and I don't know this for a fact, but this is a feeling that I get, is that they're probably more religious. But I guess they're from France. France is kind of an anti-religious country. But
My geography is so good. Okay, I'll save this quiz for later.
Ari feels really good about himself. He's
I
got
got
a
to say
smug.
shells in the middle of nowhere.
He's got a smug ass smile on his face right now. It's pronounced seashells, Ari.
I can already see this is going to be hard in the Caribbean. The Caribbean I'm not really familiar with.
It's also pronounced Caribbean,
It's
but
pronounced Caribbean.
carabiner. It's about it's climbing. That's.
I don't like your Alex Honnold joke. It's too soon.
Good times, bud. Good times. What else you got? You got to carry this, bud.
I got a great story. On. Let me see my order here. How I planned it out because I want to keep a good order.
Ari's got it. Ari really writes these out. I mean, which
this one I think you mentioned to me that you had heard about, but I don't know if we've mentioned on the pod, which is the Peng Shuai case in China. The tennis player.
Yeah.
You mentioned it to me, and I didn't absorb it. And today I heard it again. I was like, I know Jordan said that, but I didn't realize the extent of it. So there's a tennis player who, and this only happened I think 10 days ago or so.
Yeah.
Who accused a member of the Chinese National People's Congress Standing Committee, which is like the most powerful micro-organization within China, which is, the most powerful organization in the People's Republic of China. Anyway, so he's one of the 7 most powerful people in China, and he got accused on I think it was Weibo or Weixin. I can't remember. Anyway,
I think it was on Weibo, but yeah.
It got deleted within 20 minutes. And not only that, to prevent the spread, they blocked the word tennis for like days.
Yep.
So if you searched for tennis, it would just literally just like give you an error message. It's like, there's no such thing as tennis.
Tennis? Wang Chiu? Is what?
Which is crazy. So I like I said, I should have absorbed that better. This is a really interesting case. So I'm going to do a little bit more research about that specific case. And that's a really interesting thing. And you're really on feminism and the Me Too movement in China. You've been on this topic for a long time, and I've been, let's just say, letting you take the lead on this topic. So I need to learn more from you about this, not learn more about you from this.
Both are okay. You can do both.
That sounds really weird. I'm gonna learn a lot more about you from this topic.
Yeah, that makes me sound like a bad guy. Well,
yes, it does.
It's interesting. I think.
It is.
I mean, the Me Too movement in general, I think is an important one, and for multiple reasons and from multiple perspectives. But like the Me Too movement in China is especially interesting, especially because of, like you mentioned, like the censorship that goes on. It's incredible. I mean, it's crazy.
Incredible, folks.
Well, and the fact that like they basically only prosecute and then also decide these prosecutions based on, obviously, on what the CCP wants. I mean,
exactly, and that's basically because I was talking with a scholar in a meeting today about this topic, and he made the exact same point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at the courts. I mean, they have over a 99.99% conviction rate. It's insane. So they only basically bring things to trial that they're going to try, and then other things like this case may never see trial if they decide that he's not worth throwing under the bus. I mean, the thing I was talking to you is there's an article people should go look up. You can search Chris Wu on our
yes.
on the site. Like, that's an interesting case because they basically demonized him as like a foreigner coming, and also he was demonized because he's in like a Chinese / K-pop band, but like they're really trying to demonize this idea of like the sissified man right now, which is, and he's a beautiful K-pop boy.
What do you think about that?
Which aspect of it? What do I think about the case in general?
About the notion that China is trying to basically strengthen gender roles in their country, because that the United States is trying to do basically the opposite. I shouldn't say as a whole, but I think culturally deconstructing the idea that we have fixed gender norms.
I think comparing the two I think it's useful, but I think it's not. It's comparing apples and oranges. Like,
it's a good answer.
Saying it's the only kind of answers I have, Ari.
Very cunning.
But like say, you know me, bud. I don't have hair anymore, but if I did, it would be very boop. Yeah, it's pretending like it's the same thing is, and I'm not saying that's not what you're doing, but it's not the same thing. Basically, is what I should be saying.
It's not the same thing, folks.
It's not, because when China decides something, it's the elite, like you said. It's this group of 7 people deciding it. When the U.S. quote unquote decides something, it's like, does that mean that the president is deciding something, or that the opposition is deciding something, or does it mean that?
Decides something?
But even
'Cause that's
when
what I think-
when quote unquote society decides something, it doesn't really. Does that mean like Twitter is deciding something, or does it mean that like the woke mob, which I guess maybe is the same thing as Twitter,
That is the same thing.
or is it the Republican reaction to that? Because that's 30-40% of the population.
You know what I think the solution is? It's just to send Jack Dorsey to Guantanamo Bay.
Well, I don't know if that's the solution, but it is
The final
part of the
solution.
solution. Jesus. Okay. You said it, not me.
The final solution for dealing with the social unrest that is tearing apart America.
The final social media solution, which is to send all of the social media leaders
No.
to Guantanamo.
I think just Jack,
I mean, the owners of these social
just
media.
the human ones.
Well,
Mark
you
Zuckerberg
you
is
at
part.
least have to turn off the.
dehumanizing Mark Zuckerberg just because he's so cunning.
No, that's not dehumanizing him. He's been dehumanized because he is an AI. You have to deprogram him and or run some sort of antivirus software because
You just dismantle him
his
and
wife
reconstruct
clearly
him.
uploaded a CCP virus to him. That's why you can see him
She's
jogging.
from Hong Kong, Jordan.
That's why you can see him jogging through Tiananmen Square. There is a video of that.
She's from Hong Kong, right?
And he's like, beep, boop, beep, boop. I don't know. I was just making a bad joke.
She seems to have a very good relationship with the Chinese Communist Party. for
Well, he's been a
Hong
lot.
Kongers.
Yeah, if she was like a 5 demands, not one less person, she wouldn't have been visiting Beijing with him. So
Let me look him up.
I
her
assume she. Wow, misgendering people again, Ari. Unfucking believable.
Priscilla Chan.
Priscilla.
That's her name.
Priscilla Chan. I assume because she spells her name Chan, she's probably Cantonese.
Looks like she's a pediatrician.
A pediophile?
Pediatrician.
Isn't that what they used to call pediatricians? Pedophiles?
I've never heard that before. No, she was born in Braintree, Massachusetts. So her parents were Chinese.
she's an
immigrants from
American.
Vietnam. The reason that I thought she was from Hong Kong is because I knew she speak Cantonese. So I guess she's like there's a lot of Cantonese and diaspora abroad.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, now we know. Well,
Apparently she speaks Mandarin too, which is unusual.
I think Zuck speaks some Mandarin too. I mean, John Cena speaks Mandarin for
Yeah,
brevity
but like
sake.
John Cena is not a pediatrician. John Cena did not spend like 13 years of his life in like high intensity education where you really don't have time to learn a second very difficult language for fun.
Well, I mean, she
Cena-
might have learned it at home when she was young. I don't know.
It's interesting.
I don't know
that
what they spoke at home.
Yeah, I'm curious about that.
Also, if you think that the WWE is not a high intensity environment, I feel like you need to reassess your life, my friend.
Let me think about that.
I think that John Cena worked really hard to learn Mandarin. And I think that for a person who has no reason to learn Mandarin except for to expand the WWE, his Mandarin's okay.
It's people are always shocked. They're like, "Wow."
I mean, Joe Rogan is really impressed by it.
Wow. All right. Do you have some stories? More stories? You don't have to. I got one more. and
I don't
then
think
we
I
do
have.
the quiz.
I don't think I have anything, man.
Okay. I'll just give my last story, which I think is really interesting and big. It's just worth noting. It's not something that people couldn't hear about, but connecting the dots, which is civil war in Ethiopia.
Uh-huh.
So two things make this a little bit interesting. One is that the rebel group here, there's a lot of things that make this interesting. So the rebel group, the Tigray People's Liberation Front, is in the north of the country, and they are right on the Eritrean border. So
Yeah.
if anyone doesn't know about Eritrea has a worse Freedom. Is it Freedom House? Yeah, Freedom House, which is a really good ranking organization, by the way, for looking at like the democratic or civil liberties of a country. It's not partisan. I don't know if it is partisan. Anyway, the data is really good.
Yeah, it's
the
good
reports
data.
are fantastic. they have a lower score than North Korea, which is to put it in perspective, North Korea is a 2, Eritrea is a 1 or 3 and 2, whatever. It's 1 less than North Korea, to put it in perspective of how terrible that country is. So the Tigray People's Liberation Front absolutely despises them, and apparently the Prime Minister, what's his name, Abiy Ahmed, was basically trying to put in a détente between Ethiopia and Eritrea, which pissed off. That's just one of the many things. I'm not here to say whether he's a good or bad leader. I'm not Ethiopian, and I have no horse in that game. I just think that makes it interesting because they're on the border and they were pissed off about that in general.
Yeah.
So basically, they've now allied with the largest ethnic minority group in the country. Oh, by the way, so Abiy Ahmed is the democratically elected prime minister, and I think he just faced re-election this year and won. But I think that a lot of the parties sat out this election because of the civil war. And anyway,
seems like a reason some people might say.
So the Tigray People's Liberation Front is now allied with the other largest ethnic minority group in the country, and they're trying to take the capital. So a few things to note here. One is that the capital is also the home of the African Union, because it's like the Brussels of the EU. It's kind of this neutral central place. The idea is that Ethiopia, it's not the richest, it's not the poorest, but it's one of the more relatively stable countries there.
Yeah.
And not anymore.
Yeah.
And then another thing, one of the most important things worth noting, is that the Tigray People's Liberation Front just so happens to be the political party of none other than Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, whatever his full name is.
Ghebreyesus. Yeah, we mentioned that on the last thing. Also, there are...
It's accelerated, and now they're trying to take over the capital, which means, this has gone from like a serious unrest in the country to basically the Nobel Peace Prize winning leader of Ethiopia is now talking about basically burying one of the largest ethnic minority groups in the country because they're trying to basically decapitate his democratically elected government.
There were, I would say, as far as I understand them, credible accusations of them trying to do a genocide against the Tigray people.
Yeah, I think that country is... It's very hard to know what's going on there. But you're talking about the central government's military who's committing genocide against the Tigray people?
There are allegations of that. I don't know what's going on, and it's not like one of the main countries I pay attention to, but for the last year and a half, I've been seeing basically allegations of that.
I think people throw that term around a lot. I think because of the size of the militia group there and the fact that the government still is not able to take control of it, I'm sure there are isolated incidents, but a large-scale genocide is hard to picture considering the size of the militancy there and the fact that the TPLF has a very large army to the point that they're basically threatening to overrun the capital. It's hard to picture that there's a sustained genocide going on.
Talking about military forces versus like civilian forces, it's hard for me to say.
Militia.
It's something... Yeah, but when you're talking about the Tigray people, they're not all part of the militia.
Of course not. But the idea that they have armed militias throughout the country, that many of the ethnic groups in the country also have armed militias, I tend to think that it's similar to Afghanistan or Pakistan, where they have a very heavily armed population.
Still,
that's an assumption I'm making.
Yeah. I'm also stating something that I don't. If I were asked to like totally back it up, I wouldn't have like a ton of evidence for it. But what I'm saying is, at least it seems that there could have been like an attempted genocide. So
I'm not saying there isn't. I'm just
I'm not trying to justify either side. I'm just saying what I've heard, and it seems like in any case, a very bad situation, and
it's something that people should be paying attention
to.
For
sure.
We have to again remember that this guy is still in charge of the WHO for fool's sake.
Chinese shill.
It's insane. It's honestly insane. And that's all I got. So I think keep in mind this, and we got to keep following this. And let's start this geography quiz. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We hope you enjoy this this bonus round where we didn't say anything offensive, and FCP is the biggest.